I've been helping diagnose a problem with a 116 trophy car. So it's a no crank, no start situation, and they'd already done quite a lot of work before I started to look at it, and they discovered that terminal 15, the one of the circuits inside the car, was not coming up when you put the key in the slot or when you press the stop button. To help me do this, I decided that I would run a number of tests on my own 116 trophy car to see what I found regarding terminal 15 and some other important circuits. This would be equally applicable to a road-going 116i, and I will point out any differences during the video. One of the first things I wanted to check was the activation of terminal 30 and terminal 15. Now what we have on the oscilloscope here is the yellow line represents terminal 30G. Actually, that's the one I want to look at, 30G. And the bottom one is 15. 15 is off at the moment because I haven't pressed the start-stop button. In fact, there isn't even a key in the ignition at the moment, so I've removed the key fob. I've actually taken it out of the garage and put it somewhere else. But as you can see, or maybe you can't really see this, I'll try and show you. Okay, so that's 0 volts on, as a reference point, and you can see that 30G is currently sitting at around 12 volts. I've shut all the doors. I don't have any door locks on my car anymore, so I'm not sure this is going to work. What I want to know is, according to the BMW documentation, 30G should time out after 30 minutes. So I'm going to wait and see if that drops to 0 after 30 minutes, and then we'll start recording again. Terminal 30G has dropped to 0 and it has been 30 minutes. The documentation does mention that if you've got a telephone adapter, it's extended to 60 minutes before it drops. And the other thing is that it's codable, apparently. I haven't seen how you do it, but yeah. So that's dropped away. So what that means is that with the key out and the doors shut, it's just, in fact, I'm not even sure you need to have the doors shut, because the documentation says that it drops to 0 30 minutes after terminal R switches off. Terminal R is a nominal terminal circuit. I don't think physically it actually exists in the car anymore, but what it means is that the car's running. So terminal R means running. So if you, I think for all intents and purposes, because I did run this car briefly actually today, but I think it's more about terminal 15, which we'll see gets activated when you hit the start-stop button. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go outside, grab my key fob, bring it back in, and let's see what happens. So the first thing is to put the key in the proximity of the key holder. Okay, so that's with it sort of resting in the key holder but not pushed in, so you can see that hasn't activated terminal 30G. So now let's push the key in. And that has activated it. So you can see here's the point where I push the key in and it's gone up to 12 volts. So that's what's required to get terminal 30G active. Now let's try terminal 15. So what I'm going to do is just press the start-stop button. Okay, and there we see terminal 15 is now up and active. So that's the sequence. There are other terminal numbers. There's apparently a terminal 87, but I don't know what that does. I haven't found any reference to it in the wiring diagrams. Terminal 30 is continuously positive. Oh, by the way, I didn't say these signals I'm monitoring here. What I'm actually monitoring is the trigger circuit that switches on the terminal 15 relay and the terminal 30G relay. And they both come from the CAS. So the CAS is controlling these circuits. Now what I want to do now is I'm going to do a test. I'm particularly interested in terminal 15, but I'm going to disconnect my steering lock, my electric steering lock, the ELV. So let's stop here and I'll disconnect the steering lock and let's see what happens. Unfortunately, I lost the audio here in the recording, but what I'm trying to point out to you is that I've actually got an emulator rather than a steering lock. So this little box replaces my steering lock in my car, but it functions the same way as a steering lock. Right, let's see if we can see what happens. We've not got anything plugged into the plug for the steering column lock, the ELV as it's called in the documentation. Okay, so I'll put the power onto the car. Quick note here, you'll see several warnings come up on my dash, and this is just because the car's been stripped out. So this window fault is not really an issue. You'll also see one about the tyres appear to be deflated, which is to do with the fact that I'm running smaller rolling diameter tyres than are standard. So you will see a few of these faults, but we're just going to see the one that's important. Oh, I've got the key in. That's a bit of a shame. Let's stop and, oh look, doesn't like that. Yeah, so it's giving a fault. Let's go back and turn the power off again. So that's with all the power off. Let's put the power on again. Comes up with that fault even before I've put the key in. Actually, I put the key close. Let's try that again. I'm interested. So there's the power on. Oh no, so I didn't put the key near the key holder. Okay, so it comes up with the error. Put that in, come up with something different. I press the start button, and looking across at the oscilloscope, I can see terminal 15 hasn't come up, even though terminal 30G is up. So if you've got a steering column fault, you will not get terminal 15. So terminal 15 not coming up could be the sign of a steering lock issue. Now, one thing I would say about this, me messing around like this, there is a certain danger here. If you have too many steering lock errors, they're recorded in a counter inside the CAS module, I believe. And what can happen is eventually you'll get a red steering column, a steering symbol with the little lock. And at that point, it means that you've exceeded the maximum number of internal errors for the steering column and you're locked out from the car. And the only way to correct it is to use a scanner with a function that will allow you to reset the ELV internal error count. So there's a procedure, and I've certainly seen it on some scanners. You can do it, but just be aware of that, so I wouldn't mess around with this stuff too much. What I've done now is I've plugged the old steering lock mechanism that I took off the column in the first place. I've never tried this before. I'm told that you should be able to get the car to start with these plugged in. So let's come up here, put power onto the car. Oh, no, it doesn't like that, does it? Wow. It's, I heard it. I heard it flick round. Yeah, let's, okay. Let's just see what happens. I'm interested in what happens to the terminal 15 voltage. Yeah, it's not coming up. I can tell it's not because it's, oh, that's it, I heard it. Oh yeah, okay, so it did work. So I'm wrong. I was I was wrong. So if you just plug the unit in, even though it's not actually attached to the steering column, it will actually allow you to get terminal 15 up and get the car active. So let's turn that off again. And if we, yeah, so as soon as you activate the key, let's do the key again. There you go. You can see the mechanism going in and out. That's how it works. You don't really want to run with a steering lock in a racing car because well, they're just not trustworthy. If you had a power failure or something, then you're stuck going straight ahead perhaps, and that might not be what you want. So one answer is to do what I've done here, is to take the mechanism out, stick a rubber band around it and tuck it under the dash. I've never liked the idea, quite honestly, so I use an emulator. Okay, the emulator's back in. Apply power to the car. Looks good so far. Haven't got the steering error icon come up. That's the key in, and that's the stop button pressed, and you can see that's all come up. And as I look across at the scope, I can see that terminal 15 has come up as well. So yep, we're all back to normal. Something I wanted to make you aware of here is that you'll notice that the steering lock, I don't know if you can see inside that socket, but there's 4 pins in there. So it's a 4-pin connector into the steering lock. That's messed up the focus, isn't it? Now, before, I think it's December 2004. So if your car is earlier than December 2004, the steering lock had a 3-pin connector. And nominally, when you look at the difference between the circuit diagrams, the only thing that's been added is this earth, this ground wire here. But I think it's probably more than that, because I think the signalling between the steering lock and the CAS unit has changed. And I'll tell you why, because prior to December 2004, the part number for the CAS unit is different, and it's not interchangeable with the CAS units after 2004. Now that may not be the only difference, but I think you have to be, the reason I'm raising this is not for people with road cars. They're obviously not going to be too concerned. The only thing I would say is if you end up buying a new CAS unit, I'm sure you know that if you buy a CAS unit, it's got to have a matching key and a matching DME. So those 3 things have got to match. But you also need to be careful that you don't buy a pre-December 2004 CAS unit and put it in your post-2004 car, because it won't work. And this is particularly important for 116 trophy people, because we tend to have donor cars, and so bits get swapped around between the cars, and this is an area you need to be careful of. So, for example, if you swap the CAS unit, DME and key out of your previous, out of your donor car and swap it into your trophy car, or you swap the steering lock around, so you put in a different steering column for some reason, you got to be careful here, because you could well end up in the situation where you can't get the car to start. And the symptom you'll get if it's related to this steering lock issue is you'll get that yellow symbol, steering symbol with the lock on it, or you might get a red one. So just be aware of that, as when you're chopping and changing bits between cars. Probably the best thing to do, if you can manage it, is if you buy a donor car, try and buy one that's very close to the date of production of your own car. That would seem to be the best thing to do. I know there have been other changes along the way, but you know, just be aware of this particular change. I've recorded another video looking at the signals on the two the black and yellow and the black and brown wire, and on the white wire. And what I'll do is I'll publish that video next, so that fills in the additional information that you might find useful when you're trying to check if you've got normal operation. Well, I hope you found that useful, and I'll catch you on the next one.